Hello, Oikos families. Welcome to episode 15 of the Oikos Family Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to dedicate the next few episodes to the topic of healthy living. This particular episode, episode 15, is called Cleanup. Now, you may wonder what cleanup has to do with healthy living, but it's got a lot to do with it. So I'm going to share a few short testimonies to emphasize how important cleanup really is to the topic of healthy living. When I was diagnosed with terminal cancer, a friend asked if she could help me, and of course I accepted. The first thing she did to help was to go into my kitchen with a few black plastic rubbish bags and start removing everything in my kitchen which would be harmful to my body. Of course, the items she removed were not only harmful to my body, but to anybody's body. So she was in fact helping the whole family. And now I can help you, I hope, by sharing this podcast and this testimony with you. So before I go into the actual testimony, I just want to give you some examples of a few of the items that were being tossed into the rubbish bags. There were items such as tinned food, which had chemicals or preservatives in them, also chemical cleaning liquids, and processed packet food. So basically, she threw out half of my pantry. Now, this might sound drastic, and it actually was. But these steps were very, very necessary for me to get to abundant health and healthy living. And I'm sure you can already work out that it wasn't just me that was going to benefit, but the whole family. The cleanup she was doing for us led us to be a lot more aware of what not to purchase at the grocery store and to start thinking about the harmful things that we were consuming or inhaling. So this led to many new lessons taking place in the grocery store, because instead of simply tossing nice-looking packaged things into our trolley, we would stop and look at the label and check what that item actually contained. And to our shock and horror, we would read a list of chemicals, preservatives, additives, and so on the label. Now, I know I'm no expert in the field of chemicals, so I know one cannot simply state that chemicals are harmful, because some chemicals are not harmful. In fact, it was because I had been diagnosed with terminal cancer that we were on high alert and extremely sensitive to not take any risks. So anything that we did not have knowledge about, whether it been harmful or not, we just treated as harmful. It was safer. Actually, the simple approach to this was we asked ourselves a couple of questions, such as, did God create this? Whatever this was, what we were holding in our hand at the time. Was the answer yes, or maybe, or no? Also, has it been altered by man in any way? In other words, has man modified it or interfered with the processes and so on of what would otherwise just be natural to eat? And then I would ask, would God approve of me ingesting this? Asking these questions to oneself helped me, or asking them to myself more specifically, helped me to decide quite quickly if this item was going to go into the trolley or not. So you can guess from this that we started going down fewer and fewer aisles in the grocery store and found ourselves mostly in the fresh produce section. In fact, what comes to mind now as I'm sharing with you is how we even became sensitive to thinking about what harmful sprays or fertilizers might have been used while these organic items, the fresh produce, was being grown. So then we had to do some study on what those chemicals were and would they be harmful. And actually, when we got home from the grocery store, I would very often just rinse the produce, rinse the vegetables and items we had bought in some water with a few drops of hydrogen peroxide to clean them. So you can hear from that in actual fact, hydrogen peroxide is actually a chemical, but it was being used for good. So you see, I'm very aware that not all chemicals are just automatically considered as harmful to one's body. One needs to actually just learn and research and educate ourselves towards what is harmful and what is not. And the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this cleanup today is because it's really a fantastic learning opportunity for you and the children. And that I'm just thinking of another testimony now of a friend that had what they called E-Day in their home. And that was her specifically teaching the children about chemicals on the labels that started with E. And they very quickly learned that a lot of the E labels were harmful, but some are not. So you can't just say a blanket thing like, oh, well, all items that have got E in the beginning of the name of the chemical is going to be harmful to you, because that's not actually the case. So what this is about, this cleanup episode, is all about encouraging you, please, from this week, from the moment you've heard this and going into the following week, if you can please be attentive to this matter of clean up in your homes, whereby take your children with you to the grocery store and get them to be sensitive and aware of what is okay to put in your trolley and what is not. Because once you start with that step, you are actually giving your children the most amazing gift. You're actually making them aware, and you're helping them to be conscious of not just everything is okay. We need to consider our bodies and consider what we're putting into them. We need to honor God with what we are putting into our bodies, because we can't just eat anything. I mean, we can do whatever we like, but we have to understand there's going to be a consequence to ourselves and before the Lord if we just put anything in our body without considering it. I know one thing that you can inhale and ingest and consume in great quantity and volumes, and that is His Word. You see, if you have daily doses of His Word, we know that this is safe. We know it's good for your spirit. It's good. You're going to be feeding yourself healthy, good spiritual food. But now I'm wanting to encourage those of you who are listening to do the same for your physical bodies. We know how to do it for our spiritual bodies, but if we can please focus on how to take care of the temples that He has given us for His Holy Spirit to dwell in, that we must be conscious of. And how to get conscious of that is to actually be intentional. So I'm hoping you will be intentional, not just for yourself as the parent, but also for your children, to impart this to them and pass this on to them and make it part of your daily living, your learning lifestyle, whereby when you go to the grocery shop, it's not just to get what's on the shopping list, but it's actually a lot more than that. You're going to actually discover what you should and should not be putting in your trolley. And that is the beginning process of this entire cleanup. So I'm just going to stop right there, because I know between now and the next podcast, there'll be a lot that can be achieved with regard to this cleaning up your home, cleaning up your kitchen, cleaning up your pantry, cleaning up your lifestyle in a way that is actually going to be imparting something very, very good as you learn all about what's good and what's bad, what's harmful and what's not. And as you learn, hopefully that will be imparted to your children. And so they're also going to learn, and this is a fantastic gift you can give them. In fact, I don't want to end on a sad note, but I'm just thinking of the mom that I told you about just now, that had her EE days. She's no longer with us, that mom, but yet her children still have what she gave them before she departed planet Earth. Her children still have those gifts that she imparted with regard to making them conscious and aware of keeping our bodies clean. I know that by being intentional about keeping our bodies clean and making an effort to do so, we are being obedient. We are being obedient to what God's Word tells us to do. So I'm going to leave you with all of that, and I'm going to hope and pray that the cleanup process starts if it hasn't already. Oh, wait, before I go, I must also tell you that I don't think this cleanup process ever ends, by the way. It's one of those things that once you start, you just keep discovering more and more and more. I mean, we've been many years down the road from when we started with the cleanup, and we're still finding areas where we need to give attention to and realize, oops, we used to think that was okay to consume that, but it's not okay anymore. And so let's stop buying that particular thing, because we've discovered that it's harmful to us. Whereas right up until that moment, we didn't think there was anything wrong with that particular thing. And so we are constantly on the lookout of finding ways to clean up. And the journey doesn't stop. It's actually an exciting journey. So please don't feel overwhelmed by it or daunted or think, oh, I can't throw everything out of my pantry. We did, because I was critically ill. But that doesn't mean you have to go completely overboard with it. You just one step at a time and just do one thing. Just remove one thing from your home. Do you know what the one thing that you could remove instantly if you haven't already? And that is packet bought bread. I speak a lot about this in episode 11 of Oikos live streaming. If you want to watch it, you can go to the Oikos family website. There's about a 15 or 20-minute video there about the harmfulness of bought packet bread and the reasons why we shouldn't be buying packet bread, and how you can make your own homemade bread. And there's a whole lot of information about that on the Oikos Live episode 11, which you will find on the video tab, Oikos Live Archives, I think it's called. If you go there and watch that with your children, I did a little bit of a slideshow whereby I was presenting the facts that we had at the time of when we made that slideshow. You see, a lot could have changed between then and now, in which case that's something that your children can research and discover how to find out the current, latest information about various facts. You are equipping them to clean up and to live healthier lives, and that equipping is going to be with them forever. Really, I feel sure about that, because what we're trying to do is create conviction. We want our children to be convicted. So I hope that you will be convicted about this cleanup and that you'll pass that conviction on to your children, and it's going to be better for all of you. So thank you for listening to this short podcast. I'm looking forward to sharing the next one with you, which is going to continue on the topic of cleanup. Thank you for listening. Bye.